Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome VentureBeat's Director of Marketing, Stuart Rogers.
Hey, hey, hey. How are we? Everybody good? Listen, if I can sound this chipper after a 35-hour journey to get here to come and see everybody here, you can sound more chipper. Is everyone good? Yes. Thank you. Big round of applause for Dean for wearing that amazing costume, everyone. So we're going to be bringing up on stage Jeff Grubb of GamesBeat next. Now, when we look at Jeff Grubb, we see a doppelganger. I don't know if you see it, but Jeff looks remarkably like our theme, Game of Thrones. Jeff is going to be joined by Matt Wolf, Head of Global Gaming at the Coca-Cola Company, and Greg Wiedemann, Customer Solutions Director at Twitch. Please give them a warm welcome.
Thank you, right there. Right there? Yep. All right, well, apparently I didn't know about the Jon Snow joke, but I get it. I understand. So with me today, I got Matt and Greg from Twitch. I don't know if you guys originally saw, we were going to have Johnny from Twitch here, but apparently there's a fight club of some sort, and he got a little eye problem. Yeah, so we got Greg in his place. I'm going to let these guys kind of introduce themselves real quickly, talk about what they do a little bit, and then we'll get right into it about why authenticity is so important in gaming. Matt?
My name is Matt Wolf. I'm head of global gaming for the Coca-Cola Company and a longtime veteran of the games business, like a lot of you. My role at Coke is pretty simple, really. It's to use the power of gaming to help grow our brands and use the power of our brands to help shine a really positive light on the game sphere, and together partner with the industries to create lift.
My name is Greg Wiedemann. I run custom solutions at Twitch. So my team comes up with custom ideas for branded content for any clients that come to us looking to do more than just traditional media like display and video.
Excellent. So when I first talked to these guys about setting up the panel, we kind of weren't sure about what we were going to talk about, and Matt got very big on this idea of authenticity, and he brought it up, and it kind of struck a chord with me. We got a room full of people who are all trying to do different things, but this seems like an idea that can propel everyone. So when we start, and I think we'll start with you, Matt, what does authenticity mean in the game space, and why is it so important?
Well, you know, for us, and I think in general, creating games today, we found is so akin to social media. I mean, the two are so inextricably linked, and because of that, people are communicating nonstop, whether it's free-to-play games and communities that grow out of that, and people talking to each other as they play, or just going on to avenues and platforms like Twitch to watch and also socialize with each other. And so for us, it's really, really important to be extremely truthful and soulful, really, about the content that we create, because the people that consume it, our target markets, are smart, and they're savvy, and they talk all the time. And it can be a very, very toxic place if you're not careful. But if you build things that are meaningful, that have value, they're also incredibly rewarding and loyal.
Does that kind of echo what Twitch tries to do from your guys' perspective?
Very much so. I mean, it really does, authenticity has become a bit of a buzzword, but it really just boils down to being honest and to treating your audience with respect, not trying to mislead them, just telling them exactly what it is that you're delivering and why it's awesome for them, and sort of being true to your brand, but also being true to the audience and their passions and their intelligence.
Twitch is owned by Amazon. Coca-Cola is a huge brand. It seems like it might be a dangerous line to walk to say, hey, look at us, aren't we so authentic? Do you guys see that danger, and how do you avoid it?
Yeah, I mean, well, we don't say we're so authentic, except I guess here. But what we ultimately try to do is to create programs, to create content that speaks for itself, that people enjoy, that, that when we create it, whether we're working with partners like Twitch or some of our big gaming partners like Riot Games or Electronic Arts or what have you, we go about it at the beginning really ideating, really trying to create something that either doesn't already exist, or if it exists, we feel like we can, you know, make it a little bit better, a little bit more value-driven, a little bit more meaningful. And everything that we do nowadays is iterative. I mean, we create our marketing programs and a lot of our comms programs like we would as we build games. So it's very iterative. It's, you know, we try to be organic about it. We try to be a bit sort of long tail about it. We're not looking at, you know, this is happening only for this time and then it goes away. And the campaign's over and we just kind of wash our hands and walk away from it. Everything that I'm doing at the company around our games programs is designed to have legs and to create longevity and continued conversation and value with the community.
And Greg, have you guys tried to do something from a place where you're like, oh, this is for the gamer, and maybe sort of realized, oh, we made a mistake here, maybe this was more for us, and we should pull back and kind of reevaluate?
It's a little bit different than that. Sort of like, you know, brands, you know, for Twitch, brands come to us looking for help with authenticity because that's what we sort of have innately. In large part because it's not us, it's not our voice, it's not our authenticity, it's the community's, right? It's all community-generated content. So we just sort of help translate, right? So we have brands that come to us that want to try to achieve certain goals, and we will tell them the best way to do that for the community. And certainly on my team, we think about it in terms of, you know, what's best for the audience. If the audience is happy, then the influencer or the broadcaster is going to be happy, and if they're happy, well, then the brand's going to get what they were looking for too. So there's times where you've got a situation where you know you go into a creative conversation and you know sort of in your heart what the best execution is going to be for that brand that would resonate the most with the community. And for one reason or another, you can't quite get the brand there. You know, it's hard wrapping your head around exactly what Twitch is, exactly what gaming is. So sometimes we end up in compromises where we've put the best ideas that we can together that are going to be awesome, but they're not necessarily the ideal. We don't put ourselves in a situation where we're trying to come up with ideas that we don't think the community would like. We're really following the community's lead, looking what they're doing, seeing what they like, and putting together concepts and ideas that match their true interests and likes.
Matt, you mentioned the word toxic earlier. It feels like, in a certain sense, that the gaming community can be a little scary. They can be scary for everyone involved, for me sometimes, for people for brands, for Twitch. Do you feel like that's what's motivating this need for authenticity, that the gamers are loud and can be very demanding, or well, what's your thought on that?
Well, I think I mean, to be fair to everybody, to people, I think things just generally need to be meaningful, or why are you doing what you're doing? We make games, we make marketing programs or products, be they CPG, tech, whatever they may be. We have to go about them in a way that's going to hopefully be meaningful, bring something that people don't already have, or bring it in a way that's better than the way it was. And so I think, I mean, I'm from the games world for decades, and so it's not a scary place. I think what could make it a little uncertain for folks or companies, big brands coming into this space is just really not understanding maybe the intricacies of how games and social are linked, or how communication's transferred between players, or even how these games are played. And so not knowing can be a little scary, but the audience itself, they're great. I mean, we go to, you guys were talking about esports earlier on an earlier panel. We activate heavily in the esports sector and have been for, you know, a little over 2 years, and it's been amazing. You go to these esports events, and I don't know how many of you have been to one of these big events, but you see a cross-section of youth, centennial, millennial, and it's amazing to see how passionate these fans are about the sport. And there's nothing scary about them. They're amazing. actually they over-index on pretty much everything, socioeconomic, intelligence. A lot of them look like hipsters. So when you look at that environment, especially as a brand, you just think, wow, these are the people that we'd love to reach and be able to bring them something meaningful so we can start that conversation. It's actually really great.
So what it sounds like is you're saying it's an asset that gamers care this much, and maybe that's what has helped Twitch grow so much?
Yeah, I think so. I think so long as you are treating them with respect and being honest with them, absolutely. Because they're so smart, because they're so tech savvy, they're going to see through BS really fast. And they've also been marketed to for a long time badly, so they're sensitive. They come in sort of sensitive. But within that community, influence really matters, right? Like what they see their friends doing. Like they don't need to see a story or a review necessarily about a product or a service. They see their friends using a product or a service. The friend tells them whether it's awesome or not. So yeah, it's just it's a really, really powerful community, and you get them on your side by being honest. And it's this incredible sort of resource that you've got kind of an amplification for your own messaging. But the key is just making sure that you are treating them fairly, that you're being honest. I mean, we just keep saying it over and over again. They sniff the BS a mile away.
And they're loud about it.
Very loud.
And they can be, it's extra amplified online because you have the anonymity of the internet, and that's a powerful thing. And in a way, it's almost cultural, and people are immediately not, forgiven and not worried about just blasting for no good reason. But that's why it has to be real and meaningful, because if it's not, you can't go to that place to say, when you're bringing content to the world, yeah, we believe in this. And over time, any blasting or any trolling that happens early on eventually, will go away. Yeah. So it's got to be from the heart, it's got to be that way. And of course, we're all in the business also of building business, and so that piece also has to work. So it's a dance that you do, but yeah.
On the other side of that, having this loud audience, does that also make it maybe more rewarding than some other industries? Because when you guys do something that is meaningful, you do get that feedback?
I think it's cool.
Oh, it's crazy. The passion that you get back, like the energy, when you do something like, one of the things that really personally excites me, like I'm an old school, my background's sort of in games journalism. And to this day, I still just love and I'm passionate about creating cool content. So to see a brand deliver really cool content in a way that viewers, that we're completely honest and open about, that's resonating with them, and they're like, oh my God, this is incredible, and it's brought to you by a brand, and like you made their experience, and that brand made the experience better for them, and they weren't unhappy, you weren't upsetting them. The brand is going to have all kinds of crazy, great, sort of recognition and retention and affinity, like that stuff. When you see it and it's working, it excites the hell out of me.
Now, you two guys don't make games. You guys are involved in the games industry heavily. But the things that you're talking about, would you guys agree that these are areas, these are things that are important for everyone involved in this space?
I think so. I mean, I think whether you're making a game, as those that make them, and I've been in that world, in my history, either at EA or Sega before I ever got to Coke. It's got to come from a real place. I mean, you're creating these games, and if you don't love going to the office with your teammates and creating these mechanics and building this work, then sometimes most of the time it won't reach your consumers or your players, and they'll, like Greg was saying, they'll sniff it out and they probably won't like it. Now, there's no guarantee that if you do pour all your love and your heart into the game, they'll love it and it'll be successful. That's part of the nature of the business as well. It's entertainment. But I certainly think at a baseline, if you don't love what you're doing, if you're not going there and really loving the craft, no matter what side of the business you're on, it's probably not going to come through as purely to your end consumer, and that's important. And that's true for what I do in my team, and I'm probably pretty sure, well, I know it's true for you guys because we've worked together on stuff like Game-a-thon, that we've done the exact same, we've worked it that way.
Yeah, no, it's like you were saying, like if the people that were making the game weren't authentic about it, they weren't throwing themselves into it, if they weren't making a game that they wanted to play themselves, it's gonna, the performance at retail is gonna speak for itself. For myself, and certainly for my team, and I know for you, and for a lot of people that I meet in the industry, like we thrive on passion. Like we do this because we're excited about it. Like I'm actually not very good at doing things that I'm not passionate about. It's just sort of like, it's my Achilles heel, if you will, but it's actually driven me to find my passion in life and in my career. And I get excited to find ways to make better creative advertising. Because, advertising, it powers the free web. It does, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So what can we do with advertising to make it better, to make it resonate more, to make it not just sort of tolerable, but to actually make it so that it's good and fun and awesome? So you see a lot of people, whether it's on my side of the business, your side of the business, or game development, like the people that are finding success are the ones that are true and honest and passionate.
I'm wondering what results that maybe you've seen at Coca-Cola that you get when you approach an idea authentically, as opposed to maybe some other campaigns you guys may have done in the past where you strayed away from that.
Well, everything that I've done since I've been there has been pretty, we've always taken the former approach. So I think I can give you examples of programs that some of you in the audience may not be aware of, but some of the things that we've done over the last few years that seem to have put us in a unique area. Like, for example, we partnered with Twitch towards the end of last year to create this program called Gameathon. It had never existed before, and it's a really simple idea with some pretty interesting execution. And what it was we took 4 really influential streamers from their network. We built a set at Coca-Cola in Atlanta, and we streamed for 4 or 5 hours. These casters playing 4 mystery games, 5 mystery games that they'd never even seen before. Indie games too, games that most of you have never heard of, and they competed against each other, for charity. And that was a really cool moment. It was fun. We're going to do it again this year. So you know what? It'll be probably bigger and better this year than it was last year. But we really found an X, and we're going to continue to move in that direction. The feedback was great from the public. We just partnered with IGN, and we created Esports Weekly. So again, you guys were talking about esports this morning. I think I agree. It's got parabolic lift. We think it's exciting. There's lots of ways that we like to play in that space. And we created Esports Weekly, which is a weekly news show. Didn't exist before. So yeah, we're a brand. Yes, our brand's on and around the show, but ultimately what we're trying to do is give the player, the fan, the folks that want to celebrate that sport, something that they didn't have before, again, in a very authentic way, because we partner with IGN, and they're great at the coverage. So it made a lot of sense.
Are there any lines that maybe traditionally you would have, like other brands maybe would have crossed, that you guys aren't crossing with these partnerships to kind of make sure things stay real?
For us, what we always say, like, we know, and we sort of act, there's times when a brand will come to us and say, what do you guys think is best for our brand? These are our goals. And we'll come up with an idea sort of in a vacuum based on that. There's other times when sometimes a client or an agency will come to us and maybe they already have an idea and they want us to sort of work with it and figure out like the best way to make it work on Twitch. So we definitely have conversations along the lines of like, how can we adapt this to make sure that it works best? And maybe have you considered, cutting out certain elements, or maybe amplifying the community interaction in a way that's gonna resonate with our audience, right? So we definitely sort of provide the feedback necessary to make sure that the content that is being delivered on Twitch is as strong as possible, and the audience is going to like it. Nobody wins if the brand brings something to the platform that the audience just, kind of cringes. Like, they know it, like they can't even necessarily articulate it, but you put the wrong thing on screen, you put the wrong sort of call to action there in front of them, and everybody just kind of winces. And,
and then you hear about it.
And then you hear about it a lot, loudly.
Immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Loud. Excellent. Well, Matt, Greg, thank you guys for talking with me so much. That's going to do it for us. We just used up all our time. Saying overtime, please wrap up. So that's what we're doing right here. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Excellent.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.